So I have this GIF here that I've created, or this pixel art, right, that I've created in Piskel, and I've exported it, right? So clicking here, I've exported the file, I've downloaded it, right, as a GIF file, right? So that we can see that here. Now if I go to my Google site and I upload it, let's talk about what we see. All right, so obviously it looks a little different, right? We've got this really blurry thing going on. So let's talk about what's going on with that. So if I click on the Finder and I go to my downloads, here is my pixel art. And even here it looks different too, right? So the way that Google is showing it is not different than the way my computer is showing it, but it's very different than the way that Piskel is showing it. So why is that? So over here, we put 38 by 5, right? That's the size that we made it. If we open this, right, it's really, really tiny, right? This is 38 by 5 pixels. The preview here and Google Sites is showing it larger than it actually is. So this is a lot larger, right? And so when it's doing that, like, how does the computer know what to put? How does it know, like, what to do for all the extra pixels? Essentially, it's guessing, right? It knows that between the pixels, it's going to be white eventually. It knows in the middle is black, and then it tries to figure out what to do in between. And sometimes the way it guesses isn't the way that we want it to. So there are different things that we can like show or talk about when you're trying to deal with the situation. And there are some programs like Photoshop where you can scale up and you can tell it how to interpret that, how to create those pixels. But we can do some things even differently just in Piskel in our program here. So the easiest way to change this is to resize it ourselves. So over here where we made it 38 by 5, if we make this larger, it will change the size that it exports at, right? So I would say the easiest thing to do to increase this is just to multiply it by a larger number. We could do a lot of math to try to figure out like, oh, well, what if I want it 5 times bigger or 7 times bigger or 8 times bigger? And you could do that math. But for me to keep it fast and easy, I just multiply by 10 because all that means is I have to add a 0 onto the end of each. And then I tell it resize. Now before I hit resize, I want to tell it to resize the canvas content. Because if I don't do this, it's still small, and now I have all this extra white space, which is not what I wanted. So we'll remove those, resize back down to that size, try again, resize canvas content. There we go. It looks the same, but if I like hover over, right, let's try maybe a different color. Maybe it'll be easier to see with a different color. It's a little hard to see actually, but can you see that little light dot at the edge of the pencil? There are actually a lot more pixels in here now. Before, each dot was, what, like that big-ish, right? Now we can see there's much, much smaller dots, right? So for each one dot that we had before, there's like 10 by 10 in there. So now if we export it, download as a GIF, right? So now I've got this new one, and we upload this new one. Now it should look a lot better. The resolution is much larger. Now it's still a little fuzzy because the exact size isn't 100% the same. It's actually, I think, a little smaller now. So if we go here and we open this up, oh no, it's not smaller. It's still a little bigger, right? So it's still having to guess what to put in there, but it's having to guess and to create a lot less pixels than it was having to before. So it doesn't look as bad. If you still wanted this to be even sharper, like this, try making it even bigger. You could, I don't think at this point you need to multiply by 10 again, but maybe here's where you double it. So maybe this ends up being 760 by 100, right? Oh, right, we can also, instead of changing here, we can also change when we export it. Either place is essentially the same. This actually changes the art itself. This just changes the size that it exports at. So more resolution is more pixels per like area, right? And so that will keep it sharper. So if we try that one, and we upload again, number 2 this time, now you can see it's a lot sharper, right? It's not having to guess as many pixels, so you're going to get a much clearer image.